Shervin Shaffie. He's a principal AI engineer at Microsoft. And if you really want to know more about Shervin, please go to his YouTube channel and subscribe and like as well. And I'm going to hand it over to Shervin right now. Shervin, are you out there?
Jonathan, yeah, thanks so much, Jonathan. I really appreciate the warm intro. And hi, everyone. Very nice to meet you all. Yeah, so this channel I've been working on, and I'm glad to hear that this community has a channel as well. Just crossed 50,000 subscribers and 2 million views. So anyone out there that is watching the content, thank you very much for your support. A lot of stuff out there on agents, and previously it was all Microsoft Teams, but again, thanks so much. So let's kick off this session talking about agents. And I only have 2 slides, and then we'll spend the rest of the time building, demoing. Put your questions in the chat and the team can answer. We can also do like a live Q&A maybe at the end if we have time. So let me just share my screen and you can see my amazing slides, only 2 of them. So here we go. So you guys know I'm a Copilot principal engineer at Microsoft. For those of you that don't know what that is, I'm basically on the design architecture side, talking to customers about our technology, Copilot now, it used to be Teams. And I do more design architecture kind of ideation and how the technology can make changes and impact on the business side. So it's considered a pre-sales role. When the customer decides to actually purchase a product that I've been talking about, then it moves into what we call post-sales, and all companies are like this. And then another team gets involved to actually implement it. So today, although we're talking about agents, I built this beautiful slide. You can see it's my own work. It's not super fancy like the Microsoft slides. It's just something I just put together for you all. I actually thought one step before agents, really what agents are doing is they're creating some type of automation process, right? That's what the whole point of AI agents is, right? To automate some kind of business process. And so as I was prepping for this session, I had all my usual demos, which I'm going to show you some of, which is how to build an agent in Copilot Studio and Studio Lite. It used to be called Agent Builder. But then I was like, well, there's actually steps before that, right? Like there are steps that are even more simple to be able to create automation. And so I was like, okay, well, personally for me, I look at it as like 4 levels of automation, going from simple to difficult and the value increasing just because the tools become more powerful and they can do more. So hence the value increasing. So I'm going to actually show you all 4 of these. And 2 of them, the automated prompts and workflows agent, are not really agents. You can think of them as agents, but not necessarily. We used to have tools like Power Automate and Power Automate Flows before Copilot was even a thing, and you can do this type of automation, but now we've made it even more simple with natural language. That's the whole point of AI, right? Like just being able to talk or type what you want it to do, and it understands and it does it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show those 4. And when I do show you the Copilot Studio stuff, this is an older slide, but I think it's still applicable because really, if you think about it, even from that spectrum perspective of like going from simple to difficult, Copilot Studio has the same concept. Even within Copilot Studio, you can go from simple to difficult by either making your agent a retrieval-based agent that's essentially just going and getting information and summarizing it for you. Or you can make it in the center. We have a task-based agent, which the main thing about the task-based agent is that it integrates to a system, and it doesn't have to be like a Microsoft system. It can be something outside. So I had an example with ServiceNow where this Copilot Studio agent was connecting to ServiceNow, and it was accomplishing a task. It was updating a database in ServiceNow. And then finally, the advanced stuff is autonomous. Again, kind of an older slide, but I think it still applies because within these tools, we have spectrums as well. So those are the two slides that I had, and then I'm going to show you these 4 levels of automation so we can look at them together. Hope that makes sense, and hopefully you guys are interested in this. So Jonathan, does that sound good? I'm going to switch over.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So first, I'm going to show you my Microsoft 365 Copilot environment. And this is powered by my Microsoft 365 Copilot license, right? So I have that full enterprise license, hence why you can see the fact that I have work and web here. And this allows me to be graph connected and be able to access and my files and chats and stuff like that. But what I wanted to show you was, if you type in like a simple prompt and you create that first level automation, you can say something like summarize. Let's see, let's get rid of this. Yeah. Summarize my emails for the day. Yeah, let's just go with that. Summarize my emails for the day. And let's let me come back to this in a second because right now there's some issue with this. Let me come back to this. So let me switch over to this workflows agent, which is the second level of automation. This always happens in demos, so don't worry about it. So the second level of automation, this is this workflows agent. This essentially, it gives you 3 different options here where these are pre-canned options that you can type in. Like if you're missing important emails, you want a project update, or you want to do like a plan or task summary, you can also type in whatever you want in the box itself. But if I select this, let's look at this prompt together. It says, each weekday morning, review all the unread emails from my default inbox from the past 24 hours and identify anything important that I might have missed. You can always go ahead and like change this, right? So if you want it to be like the last X hours, you can change it. But if we keep it just like this and this for some reason this application is having an issue. So I'm going to have to restart it. And while it's doing that, let's just give it 1 second. Sorry about that, guys. This happens sometimes. Let's give it a second here.
We call this without a net.
Yeah, no net. It might be my internet connection. Yeah, this is not happy. It's okay. It's okay. We'll come back to this, and again, my apologies, but this happens sometimes. So I'm going to switch to a different environment here. Hopefully this one is going to work for you all, and then we'll come back to the first 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to this third automation process, which is actually probably what you're most interested in Copilot Studio. So in Copilot Studio, I'm actually using Copilot Chat. So if you look on the bottom here, it says Copilot Chat, and it says upgrade to Copilot. And this is not using that full license, so it's giving you the option to upgrade. And I wanted to show you this because for those of you that don't have the full license, you can still create agents. And the way you go about it is you basically select new agent, and this brings up the Copilot Studio Lite. And you can either describe your agent, you can select some of these pre-canned templates. You can look at all the different templates that we have, like a meeting coach, a prompt coach, or you can go ahead and just select configure and then type in the information that you want your agent to basically do for you. And here, because it's using Copilot Chat, you can only give it like websites, but if you actually had the M365 Copilot license, you'd also be able to attach files and SharePoint sites and all kinds of stuff. So this is a little bit more basic, but it's good as the lowest common denominator to see what you can do. Now, what I had done initially was I actually created this agent called the Position Pal. And if I select Position Pal, I went in there, and if I select these three dots and select Edit, you can see the content that I put in there to create Position Pal. All I did was first I gave it a name. You can call it whatever you want, but this is an HR resume use case, so it's about finding a position for someone. You give it a name, you give it an image. So I selected this Einstein character. You can do whatever you want, upload your own icon. And the description, I said, look, this agent reviews resumes and compares it to a job posting. It ranks candidates. And the more important part is the instructions, right? This is what you're telling the agent. This is what the agent does. Compare the resumes of candidates to the job posting and assess how they compare to the job. Create a table and rate each candidate for various categories. Ask for the candidates' resumes if you don't have them, and then ask for the job posting. The thing is, because you can't preload SharePoint sites and information to the agent, you say to it, look, if you don't have the information, ask for it, and then the agent will actually ask you, ask that question of you. So I put that in the instructions, and I selected a couple of toggles here. One was I wanted to search all websites. If you don't want to do that, you can turn this toggle off. And this is actually a new capability. It can create documents and charts for you as well. So I selected that. So once I selected all these, the only other option really was if I have any suggested prompts. And the suggested prompts show up on the right-hand side over here. So I said, look, I want a prompt on resumes where basically I start off by saying, give me the resume, give me the job description. There's one on creating a bar chart and a candidate summary. Once all that is done, if you were creating the new agent, you just select save. In this case, I can select update, and then you're good to go. It shows up on the left-hand side. You can also share it with people. So when you select share, you can share it with anyone in the company, specific people in the company. You can drop their names in, or just, for yourself, right? So that's the process of is creating an agent very simply using Copilot Chat. And now if we go to it, we can kind of run through an example, right? So using those three different prompts that I put in the bottom, I'll select the first one, the resumes, and it just auto-populates the text that I had in there. And it says, look, please share with me the job resumes for comparison, the job and the resume. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And it comes back and says, look, I can definitely help with that to create an accurate comparison. I'll need the job posting and I'll need the resumes of the candidates. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Microsoft Career site, and I'm going to look for any type of posting that we have for software engineers. And this is actually our production live site. So these are all the jobs that you will find right now if you search for jobs, right? So if we look for one, we can even look for one in Redmond. Let's see if we can. Here's a software engineer 2, senior software engineer in Redmond. Looks like a good one. I'm going to go ahead and grab this. Now, yesterday when I was actually grabbing the link, I can just go as put in here. Here is the job link. It wasn't taking it. Let's see if it does today. Okay, so sometimes it doesn't take it. Today it did. And what I had done when it didn't was I basically just grabbed all this, I copied it, I put it in there. So just kind of heads up if that happens for you. But right now it says, okay, thanks for the job link. I'll need to extract the details from that posting, but I also need the candidate resumes to perform the comparison. Could you upload the resumes? This is great, right? Because it's basically going through the instructions and asking you questions for information that it doesn't have. So now, because you can't preload SharePoint sites and information in there because you're using Copilot Chat, you can simply press the plus add icon, and you can add content from your OneDrive. So if I select add work content, I have 3 resumes in here. I have I have Zoe Petroni, and I have another user here, Sophia, and I have Daniel Brooks. Let's go ahead and give these resumes in here and see what it does with them. So it says, I've gathered the resumes and located a relevant Microsoft software engineer job description. Here's a summary of the job. And now it's comparing the candidates in terms of the criteria of the job, like technical skills. What does Sophia have? What does Zoe have? What does Daniel have? Their cloud experience, education, certifications. And then it's giving us an overall fit and saying that this person is excellent, this person is better suited for product manager roles, and this person is maybe considered entry level. And from this point on, there's a few things you can do. You can either select this view prompts and go through your other prompts and just execute them. But what I like to do is I like to select this edit in pages icon, because now it opens up this pages environment on the right hand side. And every output that this agent is providing, you can also do this with just Copilot Chat. It puts it in this loop component or this pages component. And then later on, when we're done with that, I can simply click on this more options, and I can add it to a notebook, or I can share it. There's like different options that you have, and you have even more options, more icons show up here. You can also select create and create a Word document. So we'll do that in just a little bit. Now what I'll do is I'll close this loop component, and I'll go back to our view prompts, and I'll select this bar chart prompt that we had put in there. Show a bar chart of skills rated out of 10 for each candidate. So again, because it has those resumes, it has that job posting, all of that in memory, it'll execute this prompt, and then we can add it to the pages. So it's analyzing all that. You can select this arrow to kind of see all the guts of what it's doing if you're interested, or you can minimize it again. And now it did put together a really nice bar chart for us, a graphic that we can put into our document or our loop component. So here it is. You can see that this is Sophia, this is Zoe, and this is Daniel. And along the bottom, it has all those different aspects: software engineering experience, education, certifications, and so on. And so you can see some of them are ranked lower because maybe they have less work experience, and some of them are higher. And so with that, I can go ahead and select this. And instead of creating a new page, because if you select edit in pages again, it'll create a new page for you. And by the way, those pages, they show up somewhere on the left-hand side. We'll get to that. But you can select this drop down and say add to recent page. And this is that recent page, the top one. So it just adds it to that document we already had. So what ends up happening is in the top portion, you have the beginning of the first prompt that we had and the table that it created. Then it adds that bar chart as well. And just to kind of wrap this up, we'll put in our third prompts as well. And we'll just go in here. We'll ask it to summarize the key strengths and gaps for each candidate. We'll add it to that pages, and then we'll export it to a Word document. So this is a really nice way of automating, not fully automating in the autonomous sense, but automating a process that you would have to think about and copy and paste stuff all the time over and over again into an agent that you can interact with and be dynamic, add different people's resumes, grab different job postings. So it just kind of automates that process. So it came back and it summarized each person's how they stack against that resume or that job posting we had. And then I can go ahead and add it to a recent page again, same process. And once all of that is in here, I can create, I have different options. And this, by the way, is new. Being able to use Copilot Chat to create a PowerPoint, that didn't exist maybe about a month ago. You could only export to a Word file. So we're always adding new features. So just kind of be on the lookout as we keep doing new stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and export this to a Word document. It'll take a little bit, provide a link for me. Actually, that was pretty quick. I can open up this Word document, and I'm using somebody else's, I'm logged into two places. So This is why I'm getting this error because I have another demo that I'm showing you, two environments on one laptop, but essentially I'll be able to get to that Word document. In your case, you'd only be logged in once. So that's kind of like the Copilot chat, which is the lowest common denominator for Copilot. And if I go now, if I switch over to this other environment that I have, um, actually, we'll see if I'm not sure if this thing that I was showing you in the beginning will behave, but if I am able to create a new agent, well, I just wanted to show you something here, see if this works. So if I click on configure new agent and I go to configure, remember in my own environment that I just switched to, I actually have the M365 Copilot license. So even though this looks the same in the sense that you can give it a name, a description, the instructions, you'll see that it actually has some more capabilities. Like, for example, in Copilot Chat, you can only give it a website, but here I can give it files, I can give it sites, I can pull from my chats, I can pull from my meetings. So when you have the full license, it opens up more features of what this Copilot Studio Lite can do. So depending on what license you have, you'll see more or less even within this Agent Builder Copilot Studio Lite function. Okay. So just want to kind of draw some comparison between the two, the full license versus chat. All right. So hopefully that's good. That makes sense. And I think that is fairly simple to do. This process is very simple to do because it's all within that M365 app that you can either, you can get to it from a website, you can get to it from inside Teams, all kinds of places, right? So that was actually the third one in the automation process, Copilot Studio Lite. There's two other ones that are easier. But the fourth one now, the more advanced, but still, I think, quite achievable, depending on who's all on this call, is using Copilot Studio itself. So in this example, what I'm doing is I'm creating this same HR resume job comparison project, but I'm automating it entirely so that it's autonomous, so that it's basically just running in the background. But it needs a trigger. So I'll walk you through it. So right now you're looking at my human resources SharePoint site. And I developed this myself. I took this basic one that we had and I updated it. And so what I did was I have this kind of like hiring project list in here. And these are all fictitious stuff. So don't worry about the names and stuff. I just made it up with Copilot. And so I'm basically hiring for different roles. There's different people, different recruiters. And as I go through my hiring list as an HR person or even as a manager, I'm looking for a candidate. I've created this hiring bench folder. And in this folder, I basically just dropped in some of these resumes, like you saw Zoe, and there's other ones, Jose Gonzalez and Jessica Lynn, and so on, right? So these six people are actually people that I vetted out, and I'm like, okay, I don't have any space to hire them right now, but these are really strong candidates for a product management role. And I'm going to put them on the bench just in case something opens up. So I have them in a SharePoint folder somewhere, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this agent that I built in Copilot Studio. So for those of you that haven't even gone to Copilot Studio, really all you got to do is you go to copilotstudio.microsoft.com. That's the site, copilotstudio.microsoft.com. It brings you to Copilot Studio. You log in with your credentials, and then you should be good to go. I already have it open in the other tab, but I just wanted to show you like that's like the first step, right? Just to log in. And if your company has given you access, if you have the M365 Copilot license, then it kind of depends, right? Like some IT teams, they lock these down, some of them don't. So if you can't get to it, it could be either your license or because your IT team has decided to lock down some of these features. So don't blame Microsoft, all right? So anyways, you get to Copilot Studio. And in Copilot Studio, I have a bunch of different agents that I've built over time, and some of these are on that channel and stuff, right? But the one that I want to show you is this new one that I made. It's called Matchmaker. And the reason why I call it Matchmaker is because it's basically the advanced version of that position pal. It's connecting somebody to to a job essentially, right? And I built this in Copilot Studio, where if you're not familiar with Copilot Studio, if you look on the top here, you have this kind of overview section, knowledge, which is information that you're feeding the agent, tools that the agent is using, agents that the agent can call. So you can have like a hierarchy of agents. That's more advanced. You don't have to worry about it. And a bunch of other tools as I select that number five, like topics, activity, and so on. But we'll step through most of these in the way I built this. So in the same fashion as that Copilot Studio Lite, you first start off by giving it a name and giving it an icon. So if I select edit, I can change the name, I can change the icon. You can customize this any way you want. The next thing you do is you give it a description. And so the description for this agent is that this is an autonomous agent that receives emails related to job postings and matches candidates to the posting, ranks them, generates a document, a comparison document, and then emails it back to the sender. You're going to see all this happen automatically. Now, one of the nice things about Copilot Studio, the full version, is that you can actually select the large language model that the, the system is using, the agent is using. In this case, if I select the dropdown, instead of GPT-4.1, I'm using GPT-5 Chat, which is faster than using the reasoning model. But we also can use Anthropic's models. So there's different Anthropic models like the Opus 4.5 and so on that you can use as well. So you select that. I use GPT-5. Now, to make an agent autonomous, what you need is a trigger, right? You need something to trigger the agent to kind of wake up and do its thing. And in this case, what I've done is I've used when an email arrives as a trigger. So every time an email arrives to the inbox of this particular user, which is Arnold, or it's actually Arnold Schwarzenegger, as soon as an email comes into Arnold's inbox, the agent wakes up. And if you wanted to experiment with triggers, you just select plus add trigger here. And we have many different triggers. If you go to all, we have 870 different triggers you can select. You can do triggers based on a schedule, based on some activity inside SharePoint, even using non-Microsoft products like when a new Gmail arrives. So lots of triggers. But in this case, I'm just going to use the Outlook email coming into Outlook. Now, the next part of this, the key part of it, is the instructions. And this whole section here, by the way, all these instructions, I've copied and pasted it as a comment on a video that I published just last week. So if you want to just go ahead and grab it, it's a pinned comment on my last video. But it basically says, look, when a new email arrives, this is how the agent knows what to do, right? You're telling it, look, when an email arrives, determine if it's related to a hiring or a job posting. And if there's a job description in the email, review the job description. All right, so that's pretty basic. Compare it to the candidates that are on the hiring bench in the SharePoint site. So what I've done below here, this is the more advanced part of this agent, is I've actually taken that hiring bench that I showed you earlier over here in that SharePoint site, and you can actually put it inside the agent by selecting plus add knowledge, and then you can go to SharePoint. There's a lot of different knowledge sources. You can use documents, you can use websites, but SharePoint is the one I selected. And when you select browse items, you'll see some of these sites pop up, like one of them was that the hiring bench that I have. But you basically select them, you add them, and then they show up as far as, in terms of the knowledge source. That's going to be like the information the agent is using. So that's how I added it in there. But one pro tip is when you do add these knowledge sources, this description is actually kind of important, because the agent, if you have multiple knowledge sources, the agent looks at what you put in here to understand when to use that knowledge source. Okay, so here I said this folder contains the resumes of all the candidates that are to be hired, so it knows to go there. Now, if we select overview again, you're kind of seeing all the components along the top, like the knowledge, the tools, the agent. The instructions walk it through what it's supposed to do, which is essentially it uses some of these tools like this MCP tool to create a detailed document. And the tools are down over here. So there's a bunch of tools that I have. I have one for Outlook, one for Word, and one for Meeting. And the process for the tools is the same. You select add tool, you look for the tool that you're adding, or you can search for it. And I've ended up using these model context protocol um, tools that we have instead of our connectors. On the connector side, if you look at the connectors, we actually have like thousands of different connectors to ServiceNow, to Salesforce, to Box, to a lot of different companies, right? So this is how you connect your agent to them. We don't have as many MCP um, tools right now, but this list is growing each day. So we have DocuSign, we have Jira, we have a bunch of Microsoft ones that I'm using. And so I specified that I want to have one to connect to Outlook, one to create a Word document, and one to create a meeting. And now, if we kind of look at how all this comes together, maybe a little demo of this would be interesting, right? In this demo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my email. And right now, I'm actually using the profile for another guy, Albert Einstein. And he's going to open up an email and he's going to send an email to Arnold. And he's going to say something like, do you know anyone? And he's going to say, hey, Arnold, um, do you know anyone for this job? And we're going to go to the career site over here, what we used before. And instead of looking for software engineer, we're going to look for a product manager because the types of people that are in the hiring bench, they're more suited to being a product manager. So product managers in Redmond, here's a senior one. We're going to go ahead and grab this link, and then we're going to drop it into the email that Albert is creating for Arnold. And then we're going to say, if you do, can we set up some time to talk? Cheers, Albert. Okay, so he's going to shoot this off to Arnold. And if we go to Arnold's environment and we hang out in his email over here, we should see that email from Albert Einstein pop up in here. And when it does pop up, it's actually going to kick off the trigger for that autonomous agent to do its thing. So let's go ahead and refresh this, make sure we're still logged in. And if you notice over here, I'm logged in to, here it is. So there's the email that just came in to Arnold. Hi, Arnold, do you know anyone for the senior product manager? If you do, let's set up some time to talk. So what happens is if we go to this agent and if we click on this +5 and look at the activity, you'll see that I've done some testing before where emails from Arnold have come in or Arnold has initiated this agent in the past. And if you select refresh, you might see like the active one coming in too, but it takes a little bit of time. So I'm going to look at like an older one so I can walk you through what this agent actually ends up doing while it's working on the back end. And then I'll switch back to the live demo portion. So what happens is the email comes in and there's a trigger that's detected. The trigger then walks through all the instructions of the agent, like it checks the knowledge sources, which in that hiring bench folder, it has the resumes of all those people. And once it kind of determines who fits that role, it'll then use this Word MCP tool to create a Word document and then sends that Word document as an attachment back to Albert Einstein. So this is kind of like that whole process of like, this is the guts of that Word document being created. and the email being sent. And then it uses the meeting management MCP server tool to actually create a meeting invite and also send it to Albert. And in the bottom, it summarizes all that stuff for you. It says that I've done all this stuff for you. So if we go back to our email here, you can see that the email from Arnold got generated and sent back to Albert Einstein along with an attachment for the Word document of all the candidates. And so here, if we look at this email, it says, look, hi, hey, Albert, thank you for sharing the job posting for the senior manager role. I've reviewed the position. On our bench, please find the attached document. I recommend Zoe Petroni with Jose Gonzalez as a secondary option. And I'm also scheduling a 30-minute call to discuss further. Now, if we open up this Word document, you'll see that it basically has an executive summary of who he recommends, why he recommends them, and the fact that there's other people as well, the secondary option. And then it has information on all the candidates that have been reviewed, Zoe, Jose, Jessica, all those people in the hiring bench. And it has a resume as well so that he can look at them if he wants to dig into their actual resume. And it also kind of breaks it down into technical ability, leadership, culture fit, and overall fit. For Zoe is excellent, and you can see the ratings change, right? They go from moderate to very good or low based on the analysis that this agent was doing. So the cool thing about this agent is that it's monitoring your inbox for specific keywords and activities. And once it detects those, it jumps into action and it does all that good stuff that AI does, right? The reasoning, the summarization, the analysis, and all that stuff. And it just takes that all off of your hands. Now, one of the things is some people are not comfortable with AI, like handing all of this to AI, and I don't blame you. Because when I first made an autonomous agent, I actually made it so that instead of just sending the email back to the whoever sent it, it just saved it as a draft in my inbox. So you have that option of customizing the agent any way you want. You can go to this overview section, and if we go to tools, for example, this Outlook one is the one that's sending that email and attaching the document. If we open up this Outlook MCP server, you'll see it has a bunch of tools. And one of them is instead of sending the email, to actually just save it as a draft over here. So, like for example, here, create a draft email in the sign in user's mailbox. So, what I'm saying is you can massage this agent and the instructions so that it changes its behavior if you don't want to just shoot it off to the full response back to the sender. And one thing that I might have just skimmed over is that these instructions are pretty important. So when it was generating those bullets of like technical ability and all that stuff, it's because I have told it in here. If you see here, it says, um, compare each resume in the folder to the job description and compare them for um, technical ability, technical ability, leadership, culture fit, and other factors. So it's taking what I told it, and as it's generating that Word document, it's because of these. And so you can change those, change the words around, change what you're looking for, and it'll do it for you based on the instructions that you give it. So that's the autonomous agent. That's essentially taking the more basic, but still powerful position pal that we looked at before, and instead of using Copilot Studio Lite, using Copilot Studio Full to create an autonomous version of that. Now, let me stop because we have about 15 minutes. See if there's any questions, whether they're on the chat or they're live. We can address them. And while you guys are doing that, let me see if I can get that other one going, if I can show that to you as well. So, Jonathan, how are we looking for questions?
Pretty good. Yeah. I mean, Gene Christopher has a couple questions more about credentials managed with connectors and MCP. So I dropped in a link for JC to look at. And Ram had a really interesting, can we specify a hierarchy of knowledge sources? So if you change the knowledge sourcing, is it have preference over it, or is it looking at all the knowledge sources at one shot?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. There's a So on the hierarchy, I haven't personally tried that. There's a couple things I can say about knowledge sources. One is sometimes people kind of overlook this, right? So if you go to settings for your agent, in here you have additional parameters the like the content moderation. Like I actually set this to moderate instead of high. And then on the knowledge side, you can have general knowledge turned on, which uses the knowledge of the large language model, or you can turn this off, and then you have to click save. You can also use information from the web. The reason why I bring this up is because sometimes people are like, it's not even using my documents that I've attached. Why is it not doing that? It's probably because you have this set to on and it's using its own. But in terms of like, can you create a hierarchy of the knowledge sources? I'd have to look to see if that is a setting. And that's a good question because you can have a ton of different knowledge sources, public websites, SharePoint sites, even the Dataverse. And you can either say that in the instructions, like, in the instructions, you can say, try this knowledge source first and try that one first. If that doesn't work, I have a colleague that does a lot of really cool stuff using topics. And topics is another way of really creating a sequential way of building this agent. So like step by step. So if you go ahead and if you look at one of these topics, for example, or you can add a new topic, you can basically say, look, you start off over here as a trigger, and then you click this plus node, and you tell it like step by step what it's supposed to do. And so maybe in here you can actually go step by step in terms of the
The
knowledge
order of
sources.
precedent, as Robert was saying. So Robert was making a comment like you can
Yeah,
shoot. Yeah,
yeah. So
super
stuff like
possible.
that.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
If anybody has a question, feel to raise your hand. I will take you off of mute, and you can ask a question. I mean, this is, and if you found this valuable, like, yeah, let us know. Yeah. So, give me a sec. I'll just take you off. Go ahead now, sir.
Hey, hello. Thank you so much for this session. The question that I had was, how can you add like website level that is more than 2 levels deeper in the Teams agent? It currently doesn't allow me until unless there is an API connection, but I'm unable to go past 2 levels for a website.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. It basically gives you an error if your link is too long, it's too long, then um going past 2 levels, yeah. I'd have to think about that too because my impression is that you kind of give it like that first or second level and then it's going in deeper and being able to assess everything. But maybe to your point, sometimes it's not on point in its response, right? Like it's not exactly, you want to confine the knowledge a little bit more. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
so actually I want to send it to a specific site, and that's the reason they have different levels. But if I specify 2 levels, it still does not reroute to the same location that I'm expecting it to.
I see. I'd have to dig into that. I don't know if anyone else on the call has insight on that, but I've also just kind of been stuck at the first couple of levels and not been able to go any deeper. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll get back to you on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else have a question? Please raise your hand, and we can take you off of mute. Yes, we've got a little bit of time, and this is good. Some good Q&A. So
And maybe while that's happening, if there isn't anything, I'll try this again. This was kind of like one of the first two levels of automation. Let's try this again. So this workflows agent is new, and this is around this automation process that I was trying to show. And if I select this kind of catching up on important emails, it has this whole instruction set. And the idea behind this kind of like workflows agent is that you tell it whatever you want. And instead of you building all the tools and the steps and the knowledge sources inside Copilot Studio, it's doing it for you automatically. Now, in typical fashion, when things are happening automatically, obviously you don't have as much control. The system is interpreting what you want it to do and it's doing it for you. And it doesn't have kind of all the bells and whistles. But I have found that for some simple automation processes like summarizing emails, like what this one is asking it to do, or um, maybe making a SharePoint list or updating a to-do list, it's able to do it. And based on just that instruction, you can see that it just created all of this flow here, including a trigger, um, using an Office 365 connector to look at my unread emails, summarizing it using AI, and then sending me a Teams message. So this is another way that I was trying to show in the beginning, it wasn't working, of creating automation that doesn't even involve Copilot Studio at all. Okay. Just wasn't
Awesome.
behaving. Yeah, it wasn't behaving. Now
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, and we're constantly adding new features and functionality. So this is a never-ending, evergreen world we live in. So always new features and functionality. Lots happening on the delegation and calendaring. So you can now from Copilot just say, "Yeah, I'd like to set up a meeting with Shervin and Will," and they'll find all the common dates and times that work across our three calendars and schedule it right from Copilot for you. So it's really never stopping the amount of content that we have available. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Come up or things that you're thinking about, use cases on how you could use some of the things that Shervin demonstrated today?
And
Yes.
was there a question?
Oh, no, Stephanie was making a comment that I agreed with the new delegation that'll be coming in the future, as well as all the work that's happening on Outlook side. So
Yeah. And the first one that I was also trying to show now that this app is behaving is the most simple one, which are basically scheduled prompts. And in this case, if you say something like, please summarize my emails, you're just asking Copilot chat to do something for you, right? Because it has a license, it's able to go using your graph connection, look at your emails and summarize them for you, right? That's fine, but how do you create like an automation process around this? And so once you've typed in that prompt, it'll show up on the chat side, right? Like email request summary. And here you can go ahead and basically um, schedule the prompt.
yeah, so if you click on please summarize up on the right side. So please summarize your emails. Yeah, if you click on the prompt itself, there's that scheduling
Exactly.
block.
Yeah. Thanks, Jonathan. They keep moving this around. So like once it's in your cache, you can go ahead and click on schedule this prompt. And then you can say, look, I want it to start on this particular day, like on Monday at this. I want it to be every single day, or I only want it, I don't want to do work on Saturday and Sunday. So just keep it Monday to Friday. There's a limit on how many times this can run before it stops running. Maybe that's just because we don't want it to run forever if you're not using it. And then you can select this as well, and then you save it. So now this is a scheduled prompt, and although it's not an agent, it's an automation process. so this is one of the simplest ways of just using it. And what'll happen is it'll show up on the left-hand side every time it runs, it'll just execute and show you the activity on the left-hand side. So that's the simplest one.
One little tip on that, when you're scheduling that, if you have all the days selected, it's doing on a daily basis. So the 15 times is actually just 15 days. If you unselect at least one day, it's doing 15 weeks. So you can schedule out a lot further so long as you don't select all the days. A little tip there if you're trying to get it to schedule for a long time.
Oh, that's cool. That's good. I didn't know that. That's
Neil, you had
awesome.
another question. Now?
Yes. So one quick question on that, Shervin. We have currently built an agent in which I'm unable to schedule any prompts. The schedule prompt option is unavailable for any agents that you create. So any update on like having it in the agents itself?
Oh, in the agent. So did you build the agent in Studio, for example, or?
In the team side, like the M365 Copilot.
Oh, I see. Okay. So kind of like that position pal, like the way I built that.
Yeah, it's unavailable currently. Like the clock icon that you see, we don't have it in Teams if it's within an agent. Yeah, I don't see this. I just see the top two.
I see. I see. Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. So like as the agent, yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if that's by design or why that is. Because it's part of the agent versus like you just interacting with it. But I hadn't like dug into that one either. That's a good question. So in here basically, as I was interacting with this position pal, you
Yeah,
should be able to see a schedule. Yeah, let's look at that. See, yeah, I don't see it either.
yeah, that's what I was referring to.
Yeah,
Because we need to read some sort of prompts every time, considering people. I don't want people going to it each and every time. So if we can set prompts, that will be helpful within the agent, considering we have defined the scope of the agent already. So I was just trying to explore with that, but
yeah.
didn't find anything, so thought of asking you.
I wonder if would it make sense like if you edited the agent and then you took some of those more popular prompts and you just added them to the suggested prompts, you know?
So that's
You
already added,
yeah,
but just in case if I need to like send notifications to users that I don't want users to use that prompt, but actually send it automatically, right? That's what I was implying to.
got it, got it, got it. Yeah, it looks like it's a limitation at the moment because I don't see it either. So that's a good catch.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. Jonathan, anything else? I'm happy we were able to get through all four, but we're almost at time as well.
We've got, I think, one more question from Tori. Allow the mic. And yes, Tori.
Yeah, hey everyone. Thank you so much for this. This is really helpful. I have a slightly broader question. I was trying to create an agent for productivity. Like, tell me how productive I'm being, give me tips to use Copilot to make myself more productive, etc. I assume this is something that like Microsoft is working on as an agent y'all are creating. Am I right in that assumption? Do we have any insight on that?
Um, I haven't seen like an out of the box one. I don't know. Have you guys, Jonathan or Will, around
Prompt
that?
coach.
I have not. We have our prompt one,
Yeah, something called prompt
but not a
coach.
productivity one specifically that I've seen.
Yeah. So what's an example of you being more productive? Less phone time, less social media,
Well,
back to work?
yeah, for oddly enough, I'm not on social media, but
Good for you.
yeah, I would love for Copilot to say, "Hey, Tori, we noticed that you're spending X amount of time in meetings. Here's, that's sucking your time. You should reduce those. You're spending X amount of time on email. You're sending this many Teams messages a day." Like general productivity, but then also like we notice it again, maybe we're not here yet with the technology, but we noticed you're doing this thing repetitively. Copilot can help you do that more efficiently. Try this.
I'll
Hmm.
follow up, but I know a lot of Viva Insights does a bit of that, like, hey, you're using this much percentage for meetings and this much in the productivity tools. I'll have to take a look to see if there's any way to equate that to what's happening from the.
I don't know if there's a way for Viva Insights for that data to be accessible by Copilot at the moment. I could be wrong there, but I don't know that Copilot can see the Viva Insights information. But it's possible that we could build out something that would have a connector to that. I just don't know for sure.
Yeah, and the other thing is sometimes this becomes an exercise in prompting. Like you can get possibly you can get what you want out of Copilot by creating a super prompt, and you don't necessarily have to build this super prompt. Like they exist. It's like a matter of finding it. There's a site called Prompt Buddy where people create prompts and share prompts and they upvote prompts that are very useful. And there's categories as well, like maybe there's a productivity category. And so we'll see if we can find that and drop that link in the chat. But if you find that that someone has built and then you kind of schedule it like we showed, then you can get coaching all the time based on that super prompt.
Got it. That's helpful. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
JC, I know we've got just towards the end here. You have a question? Come on off mute.
Yes, thank you for that. We may not have time for that one. I can next time. But I think what I would be interested is really the different strategies to go and publish the agent to outside. I mean, we talked a lot about creating your agent for your own stuff. On my role, I'm really trying to create agents for others, make them available, maybe even outside of PTC. And to be honest, it's not really clear to me what is required where, hence the question I had about licensing. And I'm wondering, if we could have like a table that explains, what's possible to provide for people who have like 0 licenses, for example, or, and what is the requirement to actually try to get some stuff.
Yeah, and there's a whole framework around that being built with a new product set that we're launching called Agent 365. And it's about, we've been working towards this for a long time, but we want to give agents identities just like people have identities, like Entra ID accounts, like so that we can track them better, like who has access, is it doing things that it should be, or it should, or is it doing stuff that it isn't, who am I sharing it with? So there's like, it's a complex question. It's a good question because like you said, it's not just that I'm building it for myself, but I want to share it with people that have the license or don't. How much is it costing me? There's a lot of different details that goes behind it, but I think we're building an entire framework around it because it's getting more complex.
Okay, yeah, indeed. I mean, Copilot Studio is great because you have the tracking and the activity stuff, right? So people's feedback, how much is being consumed. What I've been struggling is like pushing that to people, right? I had a lot of people saying, "Oh, it doesn't work for me. The link says I need the license," or sometimes an error message, and so on. But it's great to know that you have something in the pipe.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you being